Okay, so I'm going to recreate this 2D drawing that was done in AutoCAD. It's just a simple kitchen layout, and I'm going to do something similar in Blender. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to come up to File, User Preferences. Under Add-ons, I'm going to enable 3D Navigation, Layer Management, Measureit, Screencast keys for myself, Archimesh just in case I wanted, Loop Tools, the Bool tool, very handy, the UI Pie Menu Official for the shortcut keys, and I think that's it. If there's anything that is missing, we can come back and do it. Okay, on input, I'm going to be using left select with the mouse button. Also, I'm going to use emulate numpad. If you don't have a numpad on your keyboard, you can use the numbers across the top of your screen to switch between the different views. Okay, we come up to interface, rotate around selection. This just offers nice rotation control around an object. Zoom to mouse position. Okay, I think that's going to do it. So save user settings and just X this down. Just going to press X and delete that cube. I'll press N, start this display. Okay, if I press 7, press 5 for orthographic, Shift A and add a plane. I'm just going to Control Z to undo that. So Shift S, cursor to center, and Shift A, add a plane. Okay, we take a look at this first off. What I'm going to do is lay out the exterior wall. So this room is 6 meters by 6 meters, nice and handy, and this one is 6 by 5. Okay, just get this out of the way. I'm going to come over here and switch this to metric. Press N, bring up the properties. The wall is going to be 230, so I'm just going to type in 230 millimeters by 230 millimeters. Press enter. Just going to use this as the beginnings. Okay, I'm going to turn on snapping. I'm also going to turn on increment and come down here and just press G and snap this over. I want to put this corner on the corner of the grid. I'm going to snap into edit mode, Shift S, cursor to selected, tab back, set the origin to 3D cursor, and then Shift S, cursor to center, Shift S, selection to cursor offset. That's just one way of doing it. I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm also going to press Z and bring up wireframe and select these two edges. Alright, to make the first wall 6 meters, if I just zoom out here, you can see each grid division is equal to 1 meter. So I'm just going to drag this up to 6, or snap this up to 6 I should say. So with that done, just going to zoom in and fine tune this back to 6 meters. Okay, now I want to extrude this up 230, the width of the wall. So E, Y, so 1, 2, to zoom in and snap it up 3 centimeter grid divisions. I'm going to do the same down here. Select these two, press E on the Y, come down 2, zoom in to get my centimeter range on the zoom, press G, Y, just snap down 3. Okay, I can select these here, and again for the interior size it's 6 meters. Just to make this easy, I'm going to tab back to object mode and drag this to the far side of the green line. Zoom in, GX. Okay, tab back to object mode, and I can just count out 6 meters. So EX 6. Zoom in to get my range, and okay, I can press E X, so 230. So just snap it out. Okay, let's do the same thing up here. Select these two vertices. EX, snap across 6 meters. Zoom in to the 100. Extrude this across 230. So EX 200. Zoom in and just drag it. Okay, I want to come down this direction 700. So EY and snap to 7. Select these two edges here. The width of my door is 800, so I want a distance between the opening of 1 meter. So I'm just going to Shift D these two guys and come up 1 meter, which is, I think, this line here. Okay. And I'm going to extrude up 230. So EY, snap up 2, zoom in, and count out 30. I want to extrude up 400 from here. So EY, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Select these two, and again I'm coming across here 6 meters. So at this zoom range I can just press EX, snap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, left click, and I want to extrude 230. So EX, 1, 2, zoom in and drag it 30. Select these two, E on the Y, and just zoom up here, and what I can do, I can count it off if I wish, or I can switch this to edge, switch closest, or make sure it's on closest, and select GY, choose an edge that I want to snap to. In this case, you can see the little orange circle is snapping to this edge, so I'm just going to left click. Okay, zoom in. I can switch this back then to increment and press EY and come up 200 and 10, 20, 30. Okay, so simple as this. I can select these two, and just press F. Okay, and that's the exterior wall layout. Okay, so next what I'd like to do is just add these windows in very quickly. And to do that, I'm just going to press Control R. Just roll the mouse wheel left click twice just to get that in position. Okay, if I come over to the tool tab, what I'm going to do here is use the very cool feature Measureit to get a segment. So I'm just going to select these two vertices and choose segment. I'm also going to select show, come over to the properties shelf, come down the bottom here and just expand this section here. Okay, so this is the Measureit options for this dimension, and we have options here. I'm just going to change this to line so you can see. I'm also going to switch off automatic position and switch this to 0 and switch this to 1, and now we have control over size of the font, position of the font, position on the X and Y, and position of the leader. Okay, so what I want to do is select these vertices, the 4 of them, shift select them. The length of this window is 1200 and that's what I want, so I'm going to press S and X and just scale this in to 1200. Okay, and that's a very cool feature about Measureit. It's dynamic, it updates as you change your model. Okay, so I'm just going to press Control R over here, roll the mouse wheel, left click twice. Again, I'm just going to minimize this and select segment and maximize this one. Okay, we're not too concerned about this, I don't think. We don't have to worry about changing anything. All I want to do is select these 4 vertices, press S, Y, and again I'm going to try and scale into 1.2. So here we have 1.3. I'm going to switch off snapping and I'm going to zoom right in just to get precision. So again, S, Y, 1.2. If I come over here to our precision and go for, so 5 is the maximum, I can press S and Y and fine tune this down to 1.2. And if you find somebody that will install a window to this precision, you're doing pretty well. Okay, so 1.99, 1.2, left click. Okay, so that's a very cool feature. Okay, if I come up here and I just want to insert one more, Control R, get the get the size, S on the X, and just switch on snapping. SX should come down to 1.2. Okay, and when I'm done, I'm just going to be done with these. I don't want them for the moment. Okay, next I want to add some furniture. So if we take a look, I want to add these units, the island and this guy here. So I'm going to start here with this one. To do this, I'm going to tab back to object mode, shift A. I'm going to add a plane, and in my dimensions on the properties shelf, I know that the full length is 2405 millimeters and the X is 620. So 620 millimeters. Press enter. Okay, snapping is on and it's on increment. I'm just going to press G and see can I drag that across. Okay. Zoom in, G. I can switch this to edge, GX. Get the snap across to the edge of the wall. Okay, I'm just going to tab into edit mode. Control R, left click. I can use Measureit. So again, I can just segment. Select this guy here. Select these two vertices. I know that what I want there is 620. So I'll just drag this across. Zoom in, GX, and just drag it. Zoom in a little bit more. GX. If you come back over here, we can turn down the precision to whatever you wish. Okay, so 0.620 meters. Okay, perfect. Just going to select this. I'm actually just going to hide that. Going to turn on snapping to increment. I'm going to press E, Y. Let it snap. I want 1810. So there's 1800. Zoom in. It's 1820 and 1810. Just tab back to object mode. Shift D. Just right click. I'm just going to rotate this 90. Press G. Let's zoom in here. I'm going to switch this snapping option to edge. G, Y. Snap it up here and G and X. And snap it in there. Tab into edit mode. Switch back to increment. And my length from this point to this point is 4760. So again, I'm just going to come over to 4 meters. Zoom in and get 700, which is 700 there. Zoom in. G and X. And I'm pretty sure that's 70. 4 meters. 700. And 60. So back 10. GX. Left click. Snap that in position. Okay, I'm going to have to change the length of this. It's 1910. So I'm just going to drag it back. Okay, so that's 1900. Just going to switch off snapping. G, Y, and fine tune it. Something like that. That's going to be close enough. Okay, I can tab back to edit mode. Shift A, I want to add a plane. Again, come up to the dimensions, put in the dimension for the X, which is going to be 2800 millimeters. Tab into the Y, and that's 1200 millimeters. Press enter. Switch back on snapping and increment. Just press G. And I'm just going to leave it there. It's not too important for the moment. I'm actually just going to switch off snapping and drag this over slightly. Something like that. Okay. So Shift A. I want another plane. This time it's going to be the fridge, and the dimensions are 1230 millimeters by 700 millimeters. Press enter. And press G and just drag this up here. You can switch on snapping to edge, GY, and GX. Snap that into position. Okay, I'm going to select these walls and just tab into edit mode. And what I'd like to do is select these, shift select all of these, press P, separate them by selection, just tab back to edit mode. Just going to tab into edit mode with them selected, Control R, left click, and this is just going to represent my window, and I'm just going to leave it at that width. Just left click twice, Control R. Okay, and I'm going to select all of these and press P for selection. Tab back to object mode. Okay, next I just want to quickly do up the sync insert and the hob. So from object mode, shift A, again I'm going to add a plane, and for the dimensions on the X for the sync unit, it's 780 millimeters by 470 millimeters. Just press G and drag this up. Something like this, press G, you can snap to this edge. I can switch off snapping with shift tab, just drag this into position. I can zoom in and use the grids just to give myself maybe 70 mil, so just a little bit more, and that should do. Okay, shift A again. I want to add a second plane, this time for the hob, and then the X, 500 millimeters. Tab into the Y, it's 580 millimeters. Press enter. I can press G, just drag this up. Select this object, tab into edit mode and select this vertex. What I want to do is link these two objects. I'm going to use Measureit, so tab back to object mode, select this one. Again, select a vertex, this one, and I'm going to choose this one. Tab back to object mode, press and hold shift, select this hob unit, select link. Okay, it gives me the size over here. So if I select this, I can position it to whatever distance I want. Okay, so that's a very handy and useful tool. I'm just going to leave it there. You can fine tune it if you wish. Okay, I'm just going to knock that off. Okay, next I want to set up the camera. So I'm just going to zoom out, select the camera, Control Alt 0. Come over to the camera options on the properties editor, select this, switch it to orthographic. Just increase the scale. Just press G and center it up, something like that. Increase the scale again. I'm going to leave this on Blender Render. Just going to come over here to the Render tab and enable Freestyle. I'm going to leave those settings. Okay, I'm going to just come on into the Render Layer tab and just knock off Solid and come into the World tab and just change the background to white. If I press Z, rendered, we get a nice white background with black lines on the front. I'm going to press Z and come back to wireframe. I want to add some dimensions. So if I select any of these objects, I'm going to select the island and tab into edit mode. I'm just going to type in island unit. Just press enter. Select these two vertices and get a segment. I can come over to the properties shelf and just expand this option. I'm going to deselect the automatic position, and for the X I'm just going to put 0. Tab into the Y and just put 1. So we're basically just switching on one and switching off the other. Okay, so we can increase the font, maybe 20. Position it on the X, position it on the Y, and we can offset it. We can offset the whole lot from our island unit, and I'm going to switch this to line. I think it looks kind of good. Okay, I'm just going to minimize it I'm also going to get the area to face selection. Select this object, select area, just expand this, and we can increase the font and center it up. Something like this. Okay, we can play around with the precision. Okay, I'm just going to switch back to vertex selection. I want to put a label in. Select this vertex, come up here to label, and we have our options here for what I entered in the text box here. So we can come over here and expand this. We can increase the text, move it in the X and Y. You can also use a triangle and the size. Switch off automatic position. Position the text. Change the color if you wish. I'm going to make it black. Just going to tab back to object mode. Select the next object, maybe the sync unit. Tab into edit mode. And again, we can choose segment. Expand our options. Switch to line. So again, I'm just going to type in a 20. Change the position. Knock off automatic so I can again switch the X to 0 and the Y to 1. So we have control. Get the position and select segment. Okay, I'm just going to tab back to object mode. Select this object. Edit mode. Select these two guys. Segment. Again, expand the options. Switch off automatic. And if it's offset, just change this to 0. Tab into Y and change it to 1. So for the text on this one, I'm just going to have counter top. Press enter. Tab into edit mode. Switch to face. Select these three faces and select area. You can expand this and again just position. Okay, so let's get a position between two objects. So we did it already. So if I select this object, tab into edit mode, switch to vertex selection, select this vertex, tab back to object mode, select the island unit, select this one, tab back, shift, select both, link. When you're happy, just press Z, render, and we select frame, hit the render. We get a quick message up here that tells us we need to go to the image editor. Switch this to UV image. Come up here to the Measureit output. And we get our result. And it's very cool. Okay, you can do an awful lot more. You can add an awful lot more detail to it. But that's just going to be it for this one. Okay, thanks for watching. Goodbye.